Hi, this is Mahesh Thapa from Starving Videographer, and today we're looking at a behind-the-scenes footage of how we're going to light this beautiful model, April, with continuous light system from Light in Motion or Stella lights. With me on this side, I have Reza, who is our videographer. Behind me, we have Daniel, the CEO of the company. We've got a sports photographer, Rick, over on this side, and directly behind me, we have the portrait photographer, Walter. So let's take a look at how we do things. And we're using a one light system, and this is at 8,000 lumens. And I'm going to take a picture with eye out of focus. Now let's take a look at that again with a slightly higher luminance value of 10,000. And I'm not touching my ISO whatsoever. So you can notice that it's already, the histogram is brighter. Now, to compensate for the fact that we have brighter light, it means we can decrease our ISO by a third of a stop. So I'm going to go to ISO, instead of 500, I'm going to say maybe 400. And at 400, we get the perfect brightness. And let's review the images. This is at f4 ISO 400. At ISO 500, it's a little brighter. And ISO 500 with 8,000 lumens. So 8,000 lumens at ISO 500 closely matches 10,000 lumens at ISO 400. So this shows the benefit of the light. A stronger light allows you to shoot at a slightly lower ISO, thereby reducing the amount of noise that you have. All right, gang, we are now going to set up a slightly more complicated system, but it shouldn't be if you understand what's going on. We have 4 lights behind me. We've got 2 kicker lights, a main light, and a fill light. We may or may not use the fill light, and we'll decide that as we go along. We're going to light up each of the systems stepwise and show you why we need each one and see what we can correct as we light each of the lights. And we're going to have Walter do the photographing while I do the explaining. Okay, now we're going to start with turning on the first kicker light, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, take a look at our model. You notice there's a nice rim light that's developed on her hat, at the rim, and on her shoulder. But what's wrong here? As I look at this, I see some pretty strong shadows on the right side of her cheek, especially with the hoop earrings casting a shadow right over there. So what we're gonna have Walter do is move towards the right a little bit, and as you notice, stop, that shadow completely disappears. And that's the purpose of the kicker, is to give some nice accent light to the shoulder and the hat and the back of her hair and her back of the cheek without causing or casting any harsh shadows. So now let's turn on light number 2. Right, light number 2 is on. Again, you notice there is nice rim light on this side of her head now, on the back of her hat, on the side. And as we look at this, that light was already perfectly placed because as I look at her earrings, it's not casting any harsh shadows on her cheek. So the lights are looking great. And Walter, what number are we at as far as lumens on that?
3,400.
3,400 on the right.
1,000.
1,000 on the left. And you know, as we turn the other lights on, we may need to adjust those values, but for right now, it looks great. So now we're going to turn on the main light. So we have the main light now, and what did you notice? Her right side of the face is very, very well illuminated now. You know, we may or may not even need a fill light because it's a nice big soft diffuser box that we have. It's relatively close to the face, and the light is actually wrapping around her face very, very well. One thing I want to point out is look at the position of the bottom of the softbox with respect to our subject matter. We are going for a headshot. So what we want is we want the bottom of this light box around approximately at the top of her shoulders. Why is that? Because it will create a nice gradient vignetting effect on the rest of her body. So it'll allow us to concentrate just on the face and on the shoulders. Okay? So look how beautiful that looks. The rim light looks great. We'll have the main photographer come and decide whether the rim light is being overpowered or not, and then we'll see if we have to adjust the lights some more. The question is, why did we do the rim lights first as opposed to the main light first? Well, if we have the main light on, it's very overpowering, and we don't get to see the subtle effects of the rim light with the main light on. That's why we do the rim lights first, which is at a lower lumen, and then we do the main light, which is at about 10,000 or so. Okay. Let's just see what the fourth light looks like. Very, very subtle difference, but it's present. Now let's turn that off again. Look at this side of her face. Okay, this is where the shadow area is right now. Some shadow, put the light on again. Little bit of fill. okay? Just a little bit of fill, but it makes a difference. You notice the shadows on this side of her nose is filled in, this side of her cheek is filled in, and even though she has a hat on, there are no harsh shadows anywhere on her face. So I think this looks like a great setup. And one last thing we're gonna do before we actually take the picture is put our gray card to make sure we get white balance just perfectly, okay? We want to do everything perfectly in camera so we get a great shot with one take. Walter is a new Sony user, and he's got this brand new 135mm lens that he's testing out, and we'll see what this looks like. And how does it look? Let's look behind the camera here. Let's hit the play button, and look at that beautiful white balance. Look how beautiful the skin tones look, nice and warm. That's the gray card over here. Rim light looks perfect, great separation from behind the scene. Her pose is great. Look at the lighting, that's just absolutely perfect.
So what happens is when you do with continuous light, with mirrorless cameras, we can see everything that's the issue before it happens.
Right, that's a great point. Notice these are not strobes, okay? These are continuous lights. So everything is, you get what you see exactly. There's no taking a picture and deciding did that look good or not. You know, right before you take a picture, it looks great. All right, Kang, that's a wrap. This is Starving Videographer again, bringing you a behind-the-scenes footage of what it's like to shoot with a continuous light system with some pro photographers and a pro model. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Thank you for your attention.